In 1967, deep in the Darjeeling district of West Bengal, the Santhal, Oron, and Munda tribes performed back-breaking labor in the agricultural fields of Naxalbari. They were trapped in the zamindari system. Wealthy landlords, the zamindars, held full ownership of the land, forcing the tribal farmers to surrender the vast majority of their harvests, leaving them in a cycle of poverty. One farmer, Bimal Kisan, attempted to fight this exploitation through official channels. He endured a years-long legal battle that reached the highest level of the judiciary, eventually winning the official ownership rights to his land from the Supreme Court. But when Bimal went to plow his legally owned field, a local landlord sent men to beat him and chase him off the property. When Bimal went to the police station to report the assault, the officers refused to act. The court's judgment was just a piece of paper the state refused to enforce. Without police protection, the farmers saw violent retaliation as their only path to survival. This local tragedy was a symptom of a larger failure. Following independence, the Indian government had explicitly promised to abolish the exploitative zamindari system across the entire nation. An agrarian reform committee drafted a plan in 1949 to redistribute land to the poor, but powerful landlords applied coordinated pressure on the government, successfully blocking the reforms. This diagram illustrates the profound structural imbalance of the era. A tiny fraction of wealthy landlords maintained a grip on the majority of the land, while tens of millions of rural workers remained landless and desperate. The democratic system failed to deliver the equality it promised, creating a widespread vacuum. Millions of frustrated farmers were left waiting for an alternative that democracy wasn't providing. That alternative arrived from 19th century Europe. In the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx argued for a violent struggle by urban factory workers against wealthy capitalists. Vladimir Lenin successfully applied this working-class revolutionary model to topple the Russian Empire in 1917. Then the theory shifted. By 1949, Mao Zedong realized a communist revolution didn't require industrial factories. He focused the struggle entirely on peasant farmers. Mao organized this vast rural population into guerrilla armies, capturing the countryside village by village. By October 1949, his strategy succeeded, and he declared the birth of the People's Republic of China. Indian communists closely watched Mao's victory. They recognized that India possessed the exact same demographic conditions as China, an expansive, desperately poor agrarian class, perfectly suited for Mao's model. Inside India, a faction of communists began to believe that peaceful elections would never yield land reforms. They decided it was time to replicate Mao's violent success. The architect of this domestic movement was Charu Majumdar. While operating underground, he authored the Historic 8 Documents, translating communist theory into an Indian manual for war. This diagram maps Majumdar's tactical blueprint. He instructed farmers to abandon peaceful protests and arm themselves with local tools like sickles and axes to systematically kill landlords and police. These liberated zones would then be used as bases to push toward the cities. In 1967, local leaders applied Majumdar's blueprint to Bimal Kisan's dispute in Naxalbari. They mobilized 150 tribal farmers, armed them with bows and arrows, and attacked the landlords to reclaim stolen grain. This incident marked the transition from theoretical philosophy to practical, violent action on Indian soil. The violence reached a point of no return. When an inspector entered Naxalbari to investigate, tribal warriors ambushed him, killing him with traditional arrows. The state retaliated by opening fire on the village, resulting in the deaths of 11 villagers. This bloodshed cemented a feud between the tribal communities and the government. Another leader, Kanu Sanyal, secretly traveled to China. He received direct military and political guerrilla training from the Maoists to prepare for a sustained insurgency. In 1969, the movement formed a new political party, the CPI-ML. This organization explicitly boycotted democratic elections in favor of armed struggle. The movement officially severed all ties with the Indian constitutional process, transforming into a radicalized insurgency. Because it began in Naxalbari, the movement became known as Naxalism. This uprising rapidly spread to states with similar grievances: Bihar, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh. These fragmented zones coalesced into an expansive territory known as the Red Corridor, where Naxals operated a parallel shadow government. The trajectory of Naxalism serves as a map of where the state failed its citizens and where a radical ideology moved in to fill the void left by systemic exploitation.